Shields up, Armbreakers. We're here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today we're going to be talking about the new siege that is going to be coming later this month. So before we begin, I should warn you guys, we are going to be talking about the new monsters once again. So if you're someone that is still waiting for the PC version and you don't want spoilers, thank you very much for stopping by, but you should probably head on out because that is what we're going to be talking about in this video. So 3, 2, 1, let's get started. So as you guys know, we've had a new monster show up, which is the adult form of Xenojiva. We are calling it Safijiva, but I think they might still change the name because of some of the stuff that they were saying during this particular developer diary. Whether that is going to be the case or not, we shall see. But we now have a hard date as to when the actual siege itself is going to become available. As you know, the recon portion of this encounter doesn't actually give you access to any of the materials or any of the significant rewards beyond the first time that you do it. So if you still haven't done it, you should still do it at least once, because you do get one of the upgrade materials that you will need when the actual siege comes around. So, but during the recon phase, we can't actually kill the monster. So when will we be able to kill the monster? It is going to be on the 13th of December. I thought it was going to be the 20th. Looks like it's coming in a little bit earlier. That is going to be with the update that is going to bring some more stuff for the Horizon Zero Dawn collaboration. So we're going to get the Horizon Zero Dawn collaboration together with the raid of the adult Xenojiva form. Now the raid is going to end on the 5th of January, so you want to get in as much time as you possibly can on this raid, and you guys will know why, because the rewards are going to be extremely significant. Now I've been calling it a raid, it's actually called a siege. It's just, you guys know, I've played a lot of MMOs in the past, therefore raids, sieges, whatever. It is a siege. You guys know what we're getting into. The structure is going to be very similar to what we've done with Call of the Wrath. So you're going to be doing 4-player hunts, and 16 players can contribute towards part breaks and stuff like that. At least I think that's what it is, because they specifically say 16 players can get together on the Gathering Hub and contribute towards killing this monster. So I believe it's going to be very much the same structure that we had for Call of the Wrath. Now, whether or not this monster is going to scale for single player, we don't know. In the current form, the recon of the siege is very much soloable. It is super easy to solo. So if they end up doing that for the final version, it shouldn't be too hard. But the final version may also just be scaled for 4 players at all times. I don't know. What I can tell you right now is that the recon is definitely soloable, and it is super easy to solo, so it's not really a big deal. So you should at least try out the recon to experience a little bit of that encounter, because it is a pretty cool encounter. Now, they've already explained that the way this fight is going to go down, and we've already seen it in the recon as well, is that there's going to be multiple levels to the fight. Each of the level is going to have like an energy deposit, which the dragon is going to basically heal himself after he takes a certain amount of damage. And as he heals himself, he's going to drain the energy of that level, and when he runs out of energy, he's going to move further down into the lower level, at which point you will follow him into the lower levels, and the mechanics of the fight are going to change. If it's anything that, like we've seen on the recon, like on the first phase, you're supposed to push him around and then drop some rocks on him. In the second phase, he's going to have a mechanic similar to the Ecliptic Meteor of the Behemoth, if you guys remember that. There's going to be like structures at the bottom that you can hide behind, as he does like his version of the Ecliptic Meteor, which is pretty friggin' sweet. The animation on it looks hella good. But yeah, that seems to be the detail of the fight, and they say that eventually you'll be able to take him into lower and lower levels and corner him and actually kill him. Now, with this encounter, when we actually do the proper siege, we are going to get a new armor set, which they have shown. The armor set is apparently going to have some kind of a bonus skill. What they've said is that when you draw your weapon, the armor's true power will be unleashed, and that is also going to cause a visual change on the armor. Now, I'm going to speculate a little bit here because there's not a whole lot of details as to what the particular skill on the armor is going to be, but considering that we have a lot of skills that take advantage of you unsheathing your weapon, like for instance critical draw, as well as the Velkana skill set bonus, which basically means that whenever your weapon is sheathed, it's powering up, and then when you unsheath it, you're going to deal like 30% more damage or whatever. I think that what the bonus skill for this armor is going to be, it's going to be something that encourages you to keep your weapon unsheathed for longer. I think that would kind of make sense. And again, this is very much speculation on my part. I'm just, looking at the stuff we have right now. What would make sense? I think it would make sense to like encourage players to keep their weapons unsheathed longer. I think that would be an interesting mechanic, but we shall see if that is the case or not. It could be something completely different. I really have no idea. But now we got to talk about the weapons, because naturally you will be able to carve the monster for, materials and stuff like that, but you're not going to be crafting weapons. It's going to work very similar to Cult of Wrath. So you're going to carve the monster for the materials for the armor, and you're going to be able to craft the armor from those materials, but the rewards are going to depend on how successful you are in the siege, and they're going to give you a pool of weapons which are called awakened weapons. And I know you guys are going to be like, oh my god, RNGesus is coming. And in a way, you guys are right. In another way, you're not. So it's not as bad as Cult of Wrath, but in my opinion, there are a couple of downsides to this system, which I will talk about once we get through how things are going to work. So you're going to get a pool of weapons to pick from, but you're going to have guaranteed that one of the weapons from that pool is going to be of the same type as the weapon you have equipped. Now, this wasn't particularly clear. They just said it's going to be the same type as the weapon you have equipped, but does that mean, is it the weapon that you had equipped during the siege? Or can I equip a weapon during the siege, and then when I go to pick up the rewards, I'll just equip something else, and then I'm going to get the weapon that I have equipped when I get to the reward? So basically what I'm saying is, could I go to the siege and do the siege with a gun lance, and then swap into a charge blade when I pick up the rewards to guarantee that I'll get a charge blade? I don't know how it's going to work. I think the way that it should work is it should detect whatever weapon you used during the siege or for a majority of the siege and give you that one. But I know that a lot of players would have preferred it the other way around, so that you can just equip whatever weapon you want and guarantee whatever weapon you want to get, because that will make it easier for you to grind. Now, there's going to be a pool of weapons, but you're not going to get all of them. I think it's going to be the better you do in the siege, the more weapons are going to show up, but you only get to pick 3 of those weapons. And one of those, like I said, is going to be guaranteed of the weapon type that you want. And here's the thing about these awakened weapons. Their base stats are going to be the same across the board for each weapon type. So for instance, if you pick up a greatsword, it's always going to have the same raw damage, the same sharpness, the same affinity, the same elemental damage, but not the same elemental type. And that is going to be where things kind of get a little bit random. So you can get a greatsword and maybe it comes with water. Well, you can do the event again and maybe the next greatsword that you get comes with fire. Or maybe it will come with water again. That's where the RNG is going to come in a little bit. So the base stats are going to be the same. So you're still going to have whatever sharpness you happen to have. You're still going to have whatever raw you happen to have. But the elements and the statuses are going to change. They're going to be a little bit RNG. Now, here's the interesting thing about these weapons, though. You're not just going to get the weapons. You're also going to be getting these special materials called Dracolite, which I believe we got one when we completed the quest for the very first time, and everybody was wondering, what do I do with this thing? Nobody knew, but we all have one. If you've completed the Recon Siege, you should have like a Dracolite in your item box. Just go look for it. I'm sure it'll be there. And that is going to be the item that you will be using to upgrade these weapons, because that is where the uniqueness of these weapons come from. The way in which you upgrade them is going to completely change a lot of the things that you can do with the game. It's going to change basically how you create your sets, because you're going to be able to give them special skills, but you're going to be able to choose which skills they get, but it's also going to be a little bit of RNG in there. I know it's kind of complicated the first time that we're talking about, but my biggest concern, I guess I'll talk about the biggest concern afterwards, actually. Anyway, let's just put it like this. You do the siege, you get your Dracolite materials, you get your weapon, and then you upgrade the weapon by using the Dracolite materials. Now, how does that work? You're going to need a certain number of points. Each one of the materials that you get is going to be worth a certain type of points. I think there were like 4 or 5 tiers, and the higher the tier of the material is, the more points you're going to get. And then once you reach that threshold of points, you can roll for a set of 3 skills. They're going to give you 3 random skills that you can pick from. You pick one of those skills and it gets applied to the weapon. Now, these skills appear to be a mix of augmentations and existing set bonuses. So like we'll see stuff on the skills like Narga Kouga Essence and Nergigante Essence, which I believe is going to be like different versions of the set bonuses that they currently have. And on top of that, you also see like attack up, sharpness up, and stuff like that. I'm going to give you a couple of examples as we move forward. But basically, it seems that each of these skills that you can get onto the weapon is going to have 5 different tiers. So if you get like the maximum level, which would be like a 5-star Narga Kouga's Essence, for instance, I suppose it's probably going to give you something similar to True Razor Sharp Spare Shot. But yeah, they're going to have different tiers, and the more you upgrade the weapon, you know, you can get the lower tiers or you can get the higher tiers. However, if you get like, say, for instance, you upgrade your weapon and you get like 3 skills and you don't want any of those skills, you can store that as potential so that your next upgrade, they're going to give you a higher tier of awakened skills. So for instance, let's say you got like, I don't know, 3 skills and they were all like 2 stars. You store that, and maybe the next time that you upgrade the weapon, you're going to get 3 different skills, but they're going to be like 3 stars, 4 stars. They're going to be higher quality tiers of skills, and they're also going to be different. And you can keep upgrading this weapon forever, but you're going to have a limit on the number of abilities that you can have. So you can only have 5 abilities, and remember, each of the abilities is going to have 5 different tiers. So you can have like 5 5-star abilities. That's going to be like the max that you can reach on that weapon. But the thing is, if you get abilities that you don't like, you'll be able to replace them. And you can keep upgrading it and replacing the skills until you get everything you want. Like, say, for instance, if you want a great sword and you want to stuff it full of attack up 5, you can do that. You can keep playing until you get all of the attack ups that you want and really increase your raw damage through the friggin' roof for your great sword. So that's a thing that you can do. So now let me show you a couple of the examples that they showed during the developer diary, and we'll talk about all of the different abilities that we see here. So this first one is going to be a light bowgun, and as you can see, you have Narga Kouga's Essence at tier 3 with 3 stars. You have Affinity Increase at tier 5, which I'm not sure if that is going to influence the 15% that you see here, but I would predict it probably does. I think that the weapon itself is going to come with 0% affinity, and the Affinity Increase 5 is what's going to take it to 15%. Then you have a Reload Assist at 4 stars. You have Normal Capacity at 5 stars. I assume this means that you have more normal ammo on your weapon. And then you have a Slot Upgrade level 2 at 4 stars. So these are the sets of abilities that you'll be able to put on your weapon, and as you can see, the stars represent the different tiers of abilities. So the higher the number of stars, the better the abilities are going to be, the higher their effects are going to be. At least that's what I think. Now notice something very important, which is right here we have the Narga Kouga Essence. And like I said, I believe Narga Kouga Essence is going to be True Razor Sharp Spare Shot because that is what its set bonus is, but it's going to have varying levels of efficiency because we have 3 stars on it. Then we also have Nergigante's Essence here, which I believe is probably going to be Haste and Regen. And the thing is, I noticed that when they were showing the Greatsword one, they tried replacing the bonus skill, which is the set bonus skill. And they said you can only have one of those. So I think you're not going to be able to, stack, for instance, True Razor Sharp Spare Shot with Haste and Regen from the Nergigante Essence here. You can only pick one set bonus, and the rest of it is going to be more linear stuff like Affinity Increase, Reload Assist, Normal Capacity, Slot Upgrades, that kind of stuff. But anyway, this right here is the example from Light Bowgun. Then we have an example from the Gun Lance, and the Gun Lance is actually extremely interesting. Now I think that the Gun Lance is going to start with normal shelling level 6, but the upgrades that you can get on the Gun Lance are going to allow you to change the shelling type. Now, the set bonus that we see here is the Uragan Ambition. I believe this is going to be guard up, but I'm not sure how this would work on a tiered system because, guard up is a binary skill. You either have it or you don't. So I'm not sure how the tiers of Uragan Ambition would work if it is in fact guard up, because it can be something completely different. We also have Sharpness Increase level 4, which is a useful thing to have on a Gun Lance. Status Effect up 5 because it is a sleep Gun Lance, and a modification that changes your shelling type to wide, because like I said, I believe the base version of this Gun Lance starts off as normal. So the fact that you're able to exchange the shelling type is really cool, but it looks like the shelling type is going to be limited to level 6 because you got maximum tier shelling wide here, and it's only level 6 unless there's like shelling wide 3 and that might take it to level 7. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then there's also a slot upgrade. Now, it is important to also mention that I think on top of all of these things, you can still use the regular augments. You will most likely not be able to use the custom augmentation system because these are not bone or iron weapons, but I think the regular augments will still stack on top of this. So you can have all of this, and then on top of it for a gun lance, you can still put like health regen and more affinity if you want to. Next up, we have the Greatsword, and on the Greatsword, you can see you got element up 2, you got affinity increase 4, and you can see that you can stack attack increases. So if you really want to get a lot of raw damage on a Greatsword, that's all you got to do. Just stack attack increases on it, and you'll be able to upgrade that raw as high as you could possibly ever want it. And here they have Brachydio's Essence, which would be Agitator's Secret, unless they change what it does. This is a fire type weapon, so I don't think that this would give you like blast, but who knows? These could be completely new skills. I'm just assuming that they're going to be related to the set bonuses that we're used to, which means that Tigrex Essence would most likely give you something like free meal. And then we have the Charge Blade, which comes in with Teostra Technique. Again, Suspect Master's Touch. Status effect up 5, affinity increase 5, sharpness increase 5, and status effect up 5. Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff. The weapons are going to be highly customizable, and it seems like they are going to be extremely fun to craft and to play around with. And now you guys are going to say, okay, but Rurikhan, you said that there's like a downside to this system. What is the downside? Well, there's naturally the RNG side of things, but I don't think that is going to be as much of a problem as the Kolv to Roth situation we had, because, you know, Kolv to Roth, you had a lot more randomness to it with random sharpness, random bunch of stuff, basically. And getting the weapon that you wanted was a pain in the ass because you were shooting for one weapon out of, like, I don't know, a pool of over 100 or however many there were. And this time around, the pool is going to be a little bit smaller. It's just going to change the type of status and whatever that you're going to be getting on those weapons. My concern, however, is that you're going to need these materials to upgrade your weapon. These materials are called Dracolite materials, and the developers themselves have said these are going to be weapons that they predict the hunters are going to be using for a long period of time, which to me suggests that these weapons are going to be kind of like best in slot. And if you take a look at Kolv to Roth, a lot of the weapons in Kolv to Roth were best in slot for a lot of weapon types. Not all, but for a lot of weapon types, they were best in slot, particularly when it came to the gun lance. You could only get wide shelling from Kolv to Roth, and the best long shelling gun lances also came from Kolv to Roth. So, you know, we do have a history of this happening in the previous siege, so it wouldn't surprise me if these weapons, after you put a couple of upgrades into them, would just become best in slot by default. And the problem with that is that you're once again stuck in a situation where you're just forced to do this siege over and over to get the augmentation materials that you need. Now, during the video, they specifically said that you get these materials from the siege, or they said during the siege.
In order to make your weapon truly unique, you'll need to upgrade it. The way you upgrade them is by giving them awakened abilities. Use special items obtained during the siege to awaken their potential.
Now, in my opinion, what they should do is they should allow people to get these materials from different sources, like maybe hunting certain monsters in the guiding lands, hunting monsters through tempered investigations, because the problem becomes if you are forced to do the same siege over and over, which is what happened with Kolv to Roth, people are going to burn out on the siege. It can be the best siege in the whole damn world. People are going to burn out on it if they have to do it like 50 times in a row and still not get all the upgrades they want for their weapon. People are going to burn out. It's that simple. It's like you need to spread the content across the available monsters in the game as opposed to focusing it all in one monster. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, Rurikhan hasn't even tried the content. He's already complaining about it. It's like, look, you need to understand something. I'm going to always be thankful for whatever content we get in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter World Iceborne, simply because this is a game that provides its players with a lot of value, in my opinion. Like, I think I've gotten way more value out of both these games than the asking price, or even the asking price with all the DLC on top. Because I'm coming up on 2,000 hours of playing this game at this point, and I'm still not done, and I'm still crafting things, and I'm still trying out new things. So I'm very passionate about this game. I love this game, and even if tomorrow they did an update that completely destroyed the game, I would still be happy for the time that I've spent playing the game. So the reason I'm talking about these things is because I think that these are things that could be done better. Like, I don't want us to reach into the situation where we're always fighting the same monster for the best rewards in the game, because that is what leads to burnout. You know, that's why people, whenever you speak of Kulftaroth, people have PTSD syndrome. They get the 1,000-yard stare. It's because of the fact that we had to fight her so much. If things were spread in a way where, like, you go and you fight Kulftaroth, but then you have to go fight something else to get a different part to upgrade your weapon, that would be much better, because you spread it out across a bunch of different monsters, and the player base is not fighting the same thing over and over nonstop. But that's just one man's opinion. I want to know what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, hit it up with a dislike, because feedback is important. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.